the repair wasn't all that needed to be repaired. So back at it yet again, and this is what you get when you spend $10 on I think this was Amazon. So this is the pigtail that you get in replacement to replace that one down there. I'm gonna back trace a little bit further this time. Instead of being right next to the pigtail, I'm gonna go ahead and trace back like I probably should have last time. So got this was on order and it finally showed up. So here I am again. I'm gonna go ahead from the top side, release those 3 sensors, being that one, and then way back there. Go ahead, grab those out so that I can work up top here and skin that harness back so then I can get this one wired in. Not only, I think during warm-up, it was about 10 minutes into warm-up, I instantly tried to move it, and before I could even get in the car, it went ahead and just shut down. So problem is still there. Hoping it's just this wiring down in here and nothing crazy somewhere else. I haven't seen anybody else fixing this like way further up the line of the wiring harness, so still think it should be in that area. I just gotta actually skin it back and see what's going on with it. So here I go. Alright, so I got the pliers pulled up here. This one's kind of bent back up under there so it's out the way, but something that I can do, because obviously I repaired down in this section of the wiring harness. I left this bit up here all untouched. Something I can do is, it's kind of hard with one hand, but lay this out to see how far of a length it goes, and laying this out, it gives me enough wire to go just past like into this section right here. So that's where I'm going to open up to. I'm not necessarily going to cut all the way back that way, but that is as far as I'm going to actually start trying to rip this apart and hopefully find yet another bad wire. So I feel like I have a hair hanging on me. Yep, I do. So I'm going to go ahead, cut that back, and see if I can get this repaired and replaced. Alright, got it all cut off and kind of back. So I got it as far as back there, and I don't see anything that warrants it needing to be replaced all the way back in that section. I will go back just a little bit more. It feeds into this whole other plastic junction where I think the fuel injectors end up laying in there and some other stuff maybe, but it is shiny because there's a lot of oil. Can you catch some light of that? I don't know, but there's a lot of shininess for oil coating. My repair, I mean, you can pull on this thing, you can almost, you know, hang off the side of a cliff with this, but what was on there before was horrible. And like I said, some people say that it's the actual pigtail itself right there, so that's probably why these have like 3 black wires, because it's a cheap replacement of some sort from before having an issue like that. But I am going to go ahead and wire that in the same way that this is, via the outputs. And that's why another reason I wanted to tear the harness back, so then I could trace back each wire and not just put them in random spots. So at least I know now that the middle is the brown wire with yellow stripe, and then the one over here is going to be yellow with black stripe, and then you got the blue one over on the other side. So makes it a lot easier. So I'm going to go ahead, because this is not color coded anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and start cutting back and trying to actually cut that out, put that in there, and test it out, see what happens. It couldn't be any worse than what it was now. Literally. Can't drive this thing anywhere for the most simplest of issues, which isn't all that simple. I guess wiring is my downside too, so whatever. You gotta learn sometime. Well, let me tell you that the Z is inside, and not the Honda, as you just seen. It rolled down the block and it's been rolling. So after a lot of test driving back and forth around the actual neighborhood in the Honda, mind you, it was driving great, and next thing you know, actually got the confidence to start taking it to work. My wife has been taking the Honda to work, and it's been totally fine. As you see, she just left and she's going to the zoo. So she's headed off to the zoo, and well, it's been running great, and let me show you why. What it ended up being was not only the wiring harness. I mean, I'm pointing at it like this is the car, but it's not. But I did the wiring harness pigtail that you seen there, and then I had to go back. And when I went back, because yet again I forgot to actually test anything. I don't have the specific testers anymore. I used to, but for some odd reason they got ruined. That's a whole nother story for another time. But I had 2 spare, because these are the exact ones that are for the crankshaft position sensor. And one thing you can do when you're testing things and you don't really know what you're testing, but you might have a few spares, kind of a rare event. Anyway, what I did was found 2 of the little pins in there. There's 3 total, I think, if you can see that past all the glare. I tested 2 out of 3, and I was testing for resistance. So if I can remember this right, one was, okay, so the new one I just got was at 1700, which is, okay, the highest out of all 3, okay? So the new one, I think, was blown with too high of a resistance. This one was 1200, I believe. Don't ask me what, yeah, denomination. Anyway, but it was around 1200, which was a lot lower, which means there's less resistance in this one. So this one, I think, was blown because the signal it was losing signal every now and again. It would just kind of tap in and out, but it would end up giving me that you know, that number. And then there was one that I had taken off because I was looking for the EGR valve. I was tracing back for a bad EGR valve, and that's when I took off the one, and it had a cracked little piece right around that area. So I ended up plastic welding it, and I thought that the plastic weld was not good, and it maybe just kinked the sensor off enough to where it wouldn't read right. So that's why I ended up replacing it. But lo and behold, I don't know what that means, but that one, the one that I actually repaired before, was a good part, and it was the EGR valve that was bad and not the sensor. So I put that sensor back on there, ended up replacing the pigtail on the Honda, and it is running wonderfully now. I mean, it starts wonderfully, it runs wonderfully, and it has just been doing really well. She's been driving to work and back without any issues or anything, and I always ask for a report, so I know, you know, if little pitter putters or stutters or anything is happening. I really like that update. So I haven't heard anything, and I really think she would tell me if there is some kind of an issue. So yay. Sorry for sounding a little bit off. Down here it gets like this real oak pollen from the trees, and it is horrendous on me in the mornings especially, so I apologize about that. But at least now I can get onto this project and a little bit of that project. It has power, and I can actually, if I did I tell you what happened with the truck? So I'm sitting there, I'll show you. All right. Look at that. If you don't remember in another video with the truck, that right there is, yeah, that was on there. And this is what was actually making it mate to the OEM intake box. It plugs in all the same, like electrical connector and the, yeah, that right there. That is all connected correctly. and there's no modification there. It was for a smaller one, and I think that's for the 2.8 or 2.7 liter, whichever option that truck comes with that I don't have, because I have the 3.5 liter in that, which is the same engine as the H3, I think. But yeah, that is not good. So I ended up replacing that with a new one, and man, does that truck have power now. Freaking lovely. Seriously. I had so much garbage. Well, yard garbage. Picking up a ton of stuff. I wanted to get you guys updated. And now I can kind of move on to getting rid of the rattle in this thing, because it's wonderful when it doesn't want to actually rattle, which if I start this thing up right now, it rattles so bad, because you know how it brings down the RPMs and settles right in that good rattle zone, you know? It's wonderful. Not really. So I'm gonna get to this project soon. I super appreciate everybody watching, and if you haven't subscribed, please do. I really want to make this channel something where I can give back more to everybody and do fun things, and I super appreciate everybody watching, and I hope you all have a very nice day. This day, tomorrow, the next day, the next day, the next day, why not even the next day? Later.